So this is the answers to the kidney test that you sat before half term. So the first question asks you, how much water was lost from the body on a cold day? Draw a ring around the correct answer. So all you had to do was add up these numbers by here, and it should have given you 2,400. Then it goes on to say how much water should the person have drunk to keep the balance. So you had to take away this here, which was 1,000, from your answer, so it should have given you 1,400. Name a process by which water is lost from the skin. Sweating. Why does the body need to lose water from the skin? To cool down, to maintain a constant body temperature. The next question then was about dialysis, and it says, explain why the membrane is important in the dialysis machine. It separates the blood and the dialysis. It's also a semi-permeable membrane. Then it was looking at information about a woman's blood entering the machine and the dialysis machine fluid. So what was in the machine fluid and what was in the woman's blood. Use the information in the table to explain the compositions of the dialysis fluid entering the machine. So asking you, why does the dialysis fluid contain glucose but no blood cells and no urea? Okay. The reason there's no blood cells is because blood cells can't pass through the membrane. They're too big. Glucose, looking at glucose hopefully retained for the blood, so we want to maintain that glucose level. Okay, so if there was too little glucose in the person's blood, then a little bit would come out into the dialysis and go into the person's blood, and vice versa. So you want to keep that glucose level constant. And then urea, there's none in the dialysis fluid, so it can be removed via diffusion. Okay, stop water passing via osmosis as well. This question then carries on up here, asking an alternative to the treatment with dialysis machines is to have a kidney transplant. Suggest why kidney transplant might not be suitable in this woman's case. It's a minor infection. Okay, so the woman only had a minor infection, so it might be temporary. It might not have affected her kidneys forever, and any operation carries risk. Why must the blood in the dialysis machine before her treatment begins also be the blood of group O to avoid rejection? Question number 3 then. So again, quite a large table of information talking about what was in your blood, what was in your kidneys, and what was in your bladder. Which one of these substances does not pass into the liquid that is filtered in the kidneys? So protein, okay, you can see that from the table. Didn't need to do any reading or anything, you can just see that from the table. Suggest one reason why it does not pass out the blood. Protein's too large, wouldn't fit through the semi-permeable membrane. Explain why the concentration of urea in the liquid in the bladder is much greater than the concentration of urea in the liquid that is filtered into the kidneys. Water is reabsorbed, but little urea is reabsorbed. Use the data in the table to suggest the concentration that the salt in the dialysis fluid should be. Explain your answer. So it should be exactly the same as what it is in your blood, so 0.35. You could have got a mark for writing less than 0.35. The reason for that is that salt concentration should remain constant. Again, same kind of question. What substance is not found in the healthy person's urine? Protein. Suggest why this substance would not be found in the urine of a healthy person. Too large, can't filter through. The next part of that question then was a load of information. It hasn't taken a picture very well. So the money for expensive treatment for people could be used to provide more patients with less expensive treatment for other complaints. So discuss the advantages and disadvantages of using dialysis or kidney transplants to keep people alive. Dialysis requires time. It's also expensive. This is information that you could have got from the table. You have to have a restricted diet. However, it doesn't require a major operation. Transplants works out cheaper in the long term. It says that there. Risk attached to the donor, and there's a shortage of donors and a chance of rejection. Nice little easy question then. Draw a ring around the correct answer to complete each sentence. Protein is not found in the filtrate. This is because too large to pass through. Glucose is found in the filtrate but not in the urine. This is because glucose is passed through the filter then reabsorbed. The concentration of urea is much higher in the urine than in the filtrate. This is because water is reabsorbed from the filtrate into the blood. Carrying on that question then. The fluid entering the bladder will contain water, urea and sodium ions. On a hot day, this athlete will produce less urine, but the urine will be more concentrated. Okay, so there was a mark for each of them. Last question, which, looking at your answers, was mostly the question that was answered. I don't know if you ran out of time or the least effectively. It's a 6 marker. I've included 7 points that could have got you marks. Remember, the last mark comes from using good English. So if you want to pause the screen and kind of work out where you went wrong, it's talking about ADH. Okay, so ADH is released from the pituitary gland. This causes the kidney to reabsorb more water, more concentrated urine is produced. Okay, and then it's the other way around if you don't need the water in your body.